Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody's having a great Thursday morning. You heard the music, it's about 9 o'clock, and so you know what time it is. Time for the workplace. Here exclusively on KABF 88.3 FM, Voice of the People Community Radio. I'm your host for the workplace, Toney Orr, and as always, in the studio with me is the beautiful, vivacious, fierce Reverend Dr. Denise Donnell.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
And so, first of all, I just want to take time to just thank you, our listening audience, for tuning in this morning, for joining us, as Denise said, in this space, in this place to have discussion, have conversation about things that affect all of us in the community. We cannot be here without you. You are the reason that we're here. You are the reason that we come in and we do our shows, we do our music. Everything is about making sure that you, the listener, has a great experience in what we're doing. So, with that being said, KABF is a nonprofit community radio station, one of only 12 in the country that are 100,000 watts. That's the highest you can go. There's nothing above 100,000 watts. And so we are sustained by your pledges, your donations, grants that we get. So every opportunity we get to encourage you to give and pledge and donate to KBF 88.3. You can give three ways. You can go to our website, www.kbf.org, click the donate button. But while you're there, March is membership month. March is membership month where we encourage our listening audience to become sustaining members of KBF. Your monthly contribution will go to the day-to-day operations of KBF. We are a volunteer staff. No one gets paid. We have no paid staff, but everybody here is doing it for the love of what they do. Our program director, the legendary John Kane, has been around, I know, at least 30 years. And I think he's been part of the whole operation for 38 years. And he doesn't get paid anything, but he comes in every day because he loves being a part of KBF. You can also call 501-372-6119, and more than likely you'll talk to John Kane, the legend, and you can give your pledge a donation that way. You could also send a check or money order to 2101 South Main Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, 72206. You can call one of your favorite shows at 501-433-0088 and give your pledge that way. Or if you're out and about and you want to stop by, you can just come over to the station at 2101 South Main Street, give your pledge a donation in person, and as always, make sure you won't leave with anything. Make sure you won't leave empty-handed. You're gonna leave with something. And so, just show our appreciation stopping by. Want to thank everybody who stopped by or who came by El Shore yesterday for KBF Happy Hour. I was there. I saw some. Me and Denise were there, and we saw some of the KBF hosts. We saw First Ward Director Virgil Miller was there, and we had a wonderful time. So hope to see that happen again. And for those who missed it, please come out the next time and join in.
And we want to thank Jacqueline. Did she organize that?
No, that was Chris.
Oh, that was Chris. So we want to thank Chris.
That's Chris Woodward, who does the pedestrian show on Mondays. He helped organize that. And Jacqueline be listening. Jacqueline has another event coming up at Stickies that she's putting together. So we'll have more information about that. Just want to thank both of them for the hard work they're doing for KBF. And so I do have some announcements. Before I get to the announcements, I know my co-host Denise may have some.
Yeah, I do have. I think we kind of go back and forth because I need to flip through to find them. So I'll do one, then you do one. Is that okay? Because I see you have yours there, and I got to go back and forth to find mine on my email. But one of the announcements that I want to make is about an event that's happening at Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing, 1001 Wright Avenue, right here in the city of Little Rock. It is Selfless Revolutionaries. They are showcasing this book by Alan Aubrey Bozak. they, they are celebrating him and centering him in this space. And you are invited on Saturday, April 1st, 2023. So 2023, that's Saturday, April 1st at 1 p.m. Want to make sure that you know that it's a hybrid event. So if you are not able to show up in person, you can absolutely show up virtually so that you won't miss this conversation that he is having with the Reverend Wendell Griffin. They will be talking about his book, Selfless Revolutionaries. Again, that's at Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing, 1001 Wright Avenue on Saturday, April 1st, 2023 at 1 p.m.
Okay, and so my first announcement is from the Ozark Mission Project. This Ozark Mission Project. If you need home repairs, welcome to Ozark Mission Project. What we do before and after home repair and beautification projects are completed by a group of volunteers who desire to do hands-on work to serve neighbors in Arkansas. The plans and safety of a project are developed by a trained adult staff of volunteers. So how do you apply for application, or how do you apply for these repairs? You go to ozarkmissionproject.org. That's ozarkmissionproject.org, and you click on the 2023 neighbor application and download it. Now, the applications must be complete by May 1st, 2023. That's the deadline. Or you can just call Karen at 501-291-2807. She is the project manager. Karen at 501-291-2807.
There's also a program happening tonight. Tonight is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023, or maybe I should say this evening, late afternoon, 5 p.m. CST, 6 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. PST. The Anance Journal is having a live conversation with moderator and creator Patrick Oliver. And the special guest is going to be Sharon G. Flake. She is the author of The Skin I'm In and The Life I'm In. This is a great virtual discussion with a very popular author that young people can enjoy. So that's happening tonight. If you are in Eastern Standard Time at 6 p.m., Central Standard Time, 5 p.m., 3 p.m. for Pacific Standard Time, you are invited to enjoy this virtual conversation with the Anance Journal featuring Sharon G. Flake.
And, there are times, when you do a show with someone, there comes a moment where you just kind of, the ideas that you're thinking and the ideas that people are sending you information, they just kind of flow together. So that was my next announcement, was the Anance Journal. So you beat me to it, but it's okay. So my last announcement this is from the West Central Community Center. They had a Jack and Jill Health and Career Fair, and they'll be partnering with the West Central Community Center 21st Century Program and Benevolent Hearts. This is going to take place on April 22nd at the West Central Community Center, 8616 Colonel Glen Road, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Snacks will be provided, but this is taking place once again on April 22nd at the West Central Community Center, 8616 Colonel Glen Road. It's sponsored by RAD, Rise Above Alcohol and Drugs, and Succeed, um, without weed.
And this is my final announcement for today. Don't forget that we are having our Black Love 2 event on April the 8th. That is a Saturday at 7 p.m. It is at the New Deal Gallery at 2003 Louisiana Street in Little Rock, right here, 72206. It's a pay what you can event. But we are inviting you to have this conversation at the intersection of Black love and the system of white inhumanities attack on it. We will have 5 featured conversationalists, one of which is the pastor, Toney Orr. We also have Daniel Collier, Keon Anderson, Kelvin Holmes, and Marquis Hunt. And we will also have LaRon McAdoo. I don't know if you all know the Mactivated. He will be delivering the spoken word for us that jumpstarts our conversation on that night. And so we are listening to Black men talk about Black love and what that means in the times in which we are living. So we invite you to attend that on April 8th, which is the second Saturday in that month. And I am super excited. I cannot wait to see how this unfolds. We had the Black Love event featuring the voices of primarily Black women on February 11th, and now we have Black men. So let's see what they have to say.
And I'm excited about it too. I'm looking forward to it. And also just want to kind of put this out there. There's an event coming on May 6th called the People Celebration. We're going to get more information out to you, but I just want to put it out there. It's going to be a great event for KBF, celebrating the people, celebrating the volunteers who put in the work here at KBF. But more importantly, it's going to be celebrating you. You are the voice of the people. So
save the date.
Yes, save it. May 6th. Get it locked in. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. It's going to be stupendous. It's going to be just whatever word. What other words can I use?
It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be astounding. It's going to be outstanding. It's going to be superb. It's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be an event that you don't want to miss.
Yes. So, did I give you a chance to greet the people this morning?
I think I said good morning. So grand rising, Sawubona, good morning, all of those words that you use to when you rise in the morning and realize. Sometimes I have to stop for a moment and realize I am yet alive, and that is a good thing. And so I want to make sure that I am honoring that in my own life, and then also honoring your presence in this space by saying welcome this morning.
And so this has been an interesting week for those of you who have been listening to KABF over the years. Most of you know that I do multiple shows. And so this week, on all the shows that I have been on, and I was asked to sit in on a show yesterday, this one recurring thing has been coming up. Part of it is called woke. This definition, this idea of what woke is. But on the other side is this idea of how are we looking at people and policies and laws to help us as Black people, as poor white people. And we realize, and sometimes we don't realize, those laws aren't put in place to help us, to give us quality of life. Most of the time, they're there to hold us down, especially when it comes to Black people. So on Monday, on Down with Debt, me and Neil were talking about how you have these legislators who talk about less government intervention in the lives of people. Less big government. We want to deregulate everything. And as you take away those regulations, Now you have banks failing. Uh, you have transportation issues with train derailments. There have been several this month alone. There has been several incidents where planes have just missed each other, whether it's on a runway, whether it's landing. But you want to deregulate this, but you want to regulate who uses the bathroom. You want to regulate what teachers are teaching. You want to regulate who can be hired and who can't be hired. You want to regulate how much money a person can make. You want to regulate, the way people dress, and and now you want to criminalize it, and so it's hypocritical that you don't want any regulations on what I do and how I govern this capitalistic world that we live in. But you want regulations on how I live my ordinary life. Also, then Tuesday we had on Community Voices, we had First Ward Director Virgin Miller on the air, and it was an interesting conversation. And I want to say this. There was a caller who called in and claimed that KBF had become this place of hate, that we had in some ways moved away. And I understand there are a lot of people who listen to KBF for the jazz, for the music, for the blues, for the gospel, but there are people who listen to KBF because they want to be woke. They want the truth. They want to hear conversations about what's really going on. And when the caller called in, I was really, really proud of Denise, because she stood her ground in what she was saying. And I just want everybody to remember, each show on KBF, that's that person's show. That's the whole show. So it may not reflect ideas and issues of the staff or board of KBF, but that host has a right to present their show in a way that they feel is what they want to do. And so, and it's, you know what, now that I think about it, I think we do this sometimes. It's that we'll say, oh, I'm so proud of you. But in reality, all you did was talk about the real issues, just talk about the truth. And I think sometimes we look at that sometimes as this gallant thing, but it's just really the truth.
Oh, I didn't. I was just listening to you. I didn't know if you wanted me to say anything. Yeah, I think that the caller who called in was just demonstrating what we experience with a lot of people who, white people in particular, who are living in the system of whiteness, where you are uncomfortable. Anytime a Black person rises up to say what you will or will not do to us, anytime we dare to speak the truth of what it means to live in America in our Black skin, anytime that we dare to go against a system that continuously oppresses and dehumanizes and disrespects us, anytime we have the audacity to speak up, white people come for us. So white people come for me all the time. So this particular white man wasn't any different than what I experience on a regular basis.
And then yesterday, I had the opportunity to sit in on John Cerner show.
Who was also at El Sur last night.
He also was at El Sur last night, but he does on Wednesdays afternoons, he does a show called It Could Be You. So he had on his show was Osiris Bali,
who works with the Arkansas Public Policy Panel
and the Arkansas First Congress,
Citizens Congress, Citizens First Congress.
And it was such a interesting conversation. And some of the things we talked about was that, and like I said, going back to Monday deregulations and how they want to govern how you live. Coming into Tuesday, how there's a pushback when you start to rise up and talk about the truth. And then yesterday was talking about the collateral damage of all of it. And so one of the things Osiris was talking about was this affirmative action bill. Now, I didn't know. He said, yes, it's dead. They say it's dead. But in 48 hours, if you leave it, after 48 hours, it can rise up again. It can come back. And we started to talk about the effects of that affirmative action. And a lot of it is aimed at state government, but it also goes beyond that scope, because the one thing that affirmative action did, it put some laws in place, it put some policies in place that made sure or tried to help make the playing field a little leveler. So, you had to, if you were hiring, you had to have a certain percentage of Black applicants or women applicants, Black women, you had to have this, in place. And it was easier, or I don't say easier, but there was a path that if you felt like you didn't get this job not because you weren't qualified, but just the color of your skin or your sex or whatever, there was a pathway where you could actually go and ask for compensation or sue, or there was some type of relief. Well, now if you take that away, you don't have that, because now it really opens the door. When you talk about that this is a right to work state and they can fire you for certain things, now you're saying that, you know what, now we don't have to even follow, we don't have to follow no guidelines. We can just fire you. We don't have to hire you. Because now we don't have that. And what's going to happen is that even though when you hear affirmative action, you automatically think race. You automatically think Black and white. But in reality, it's going to trickle down to where it's going to affect so many other things that now it's going to affect white people. It's going to affect Black people. It's going to affect all ethnic groups. It's going to affect all races, because now there's no law or no policy that's going to protect us in any type of way when you talk about business, when you talk about jobs, when you talk about so many other things. And those are the collateral damage that we don't look at. Yet there's a lot of people voting for these legislators, but they don't realize what you're voting for is against your best interest. And we talk about this all the time. So just want to have a conversation this morning about, I know I threw a lot of things out there, but just want to have a conversation about, I don't know what we do. I know we have to vote. I know we have to be more attentive. Like Osiris said that he fills up the emails of politicians. So he just keep emailing them. He keep calling them, to let them know, that, hey, I have a voice and it needs to be heard. One thing that we don't do enough of is just like those students from Central that went in to the Senate Education Committee to voice their opinions to be heard. I don't think that's something we do enough. So what are some of the other things that we can do? How do we, as they said, wake people up?
I want to first let you know that this bill, SB 71, which is the anti-affirmative action bill that you're talking about, that it's possible for it to be resurrected, because we do believe that it is dead, because it was tabled in the committee, and you need 2/3 of the members of the committee to bring it back, to resuscitate it, 2/3 of the member of the House, because the Senate passed it. And so we need the House. Is now in the House and it's in their hands. And so you've got 2/3 of that committee who have decided that they are not yet ready, that they want to table it. And so they would be the ones who decide to bring it back up again. And it's in the House State Agencies and Governmental Affairs Committee. And so we can continue to out to them, not just Osiris and people that are in his position. I think that's one of the places where we fail as citizens, where we expect certain people to speak up for us. So people who work for the public policy panel, people who are our representatives, people who are our directors, we say, oh, they're going to be our voice. But as Osiris said, I have my own voice. And so we invite you to reach out to that committee, and you can call that number at 501-682-6211. Again, that's 501-682-6211. You can leave a message for your representative to make sure that they continue to table, that they don't bring this bill back to life so that it will remain dead.
Go ahead and talk, caller.
Hello?
Go ahead and talk.
Hello?
I think you were supposed to say that before.
Yeah. Go ahead and talk. Yeah, go ahead and talk, caller. I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you with your radio on.
Hey, Denise.
Hey,
Tony, how y'all doing this whole week?
hey.
Man, it's weird not being able to hear y'all no more. They need to fix that radio station deal. I guess the FCC must try and keep us miscommunicated among each other for some reason. Because I'm so used to y'all responding back to me saying, yeah, okay, all right, how you doing? Okay, for sure. Hey, but what I wanted to say is y'all talking about that anti-affirmative bill. I hope it doesn't come through either because the affirmative action bill, I grew up on that, like the CETA program when I was a kid, and that's what helped me launch my landscaping business. You know, because I took it as a young kid and I kept on going with it. But no, they shouldn't cut it off. You know what I think? And then it's just like you be saying too. They're trying to bring back the old days of slavery. And that ain't right. You know, because you know they're trying to reroute what we done achieved ourselves out of. And oh goodness. Hey, I had to put that in there, y'all. I love you guys. I'm gonna keep on listening. I learned a lot just listening, y'all, okay? I love you guys. I'm up out of here, okay? All right. Have a good day. All right.
And what Black people have to remember, and what all people need to remember, is that these bills, these laws are never written to favor Black people. Never are they written to favor Black people. So even though you say affirmative action helps Black folks, no doubt it helps us, but it wasn't written for us in mind. It was written because when you think about who have been the highest beneficiaries of the affirmative action bill, it's been white women. And so when you talk about this anti-wokeness, when you talk about white people who don't want you to be aware of your history, we think that it's only aimed at Black people, but they don't want white people to know their history either. Because if you do, if you realize that they are trying to keep you down as poor white people, if you realize that this anti-wokeness keeps you in the dark so that you are not voting for your own best interest, keeps you from wanting to align yourself with our principles and values as Black people because we share them, then it hurts you. So you're so busy trying to be white that you don't realize that you are being hurt in the process of being white. And so this anti-affirmative action bill is going to hurt white women. And so when we can get white people to stop being white, can I get you to be human? Can I get you to be realistic? Can I get you to be honest? Can I get you to be open? Can I get you to be transparent? Can I get you to be vulnerable? Can I get you to be sacred storytellers? If you focus more on that aspect of life, then we can get somewhere. So you ask the question, how do you wake people up? We got to get people to divest from whiteness.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Tony. Hey, man, you know, I'm up here in Conway. I've been traveling around. I ain't supposed to be doing too much moving, but, you know, it seems like when, you know, Tony you did mention a whole lot about, the voting and the laws and the bills and everything, but it seems like when we get somebody in there, even somebody we think we trust, they go for the lobbyists and the interest and things like that, and they don't see the plan anymore, whatever the thought they had in their mind in the beginning. Over time, it changes, and then they correlate with the bad stuff again. And like the brother just said, they trying to go back instead of go forward. And so my thing is, you got people making decisions on other people's lives who are halfway or past halfway through with their lives that aren't going to reap the benefits of anything unless they make it immediate for them to come, so they keep passing it down. The long-term thing, like the brother said, they do away with because they don't want us to keep and maintain the things we have. They want us to keep losing, to keep begging in for more, or to change this, do that, and we're steady fighting, we never get anywhere. And I think coming together and leading is a great thing, but more voices to be heard, like the kids into the capital, it's their future, it ain't ours. They're going to screw our future. We're fighting for things that we never had. And then they come out with the computers and all this other stuff. Those kids have a whole different mindset, generation, language, and everything. The older people don't care. They think that they're a color, and then we got to look at the mixed population and the generation coming from that. They're hating on everything. If they can't get what they got by back and doing the things they want to do, that's all it's going to change now. They don't care about us. Love you guys.
And so, I look at this in two different ways. Let me take this call first, and then
Tell them to start talking.
go ahead, Carl.
Peace and love, God. This is Brother Sawubona. Now let's look at history. During the 1800s, during Reconstruction, the black man came out. They gave him the right to vote, but they didn't give a white woman the right to vote. But during that time, we had businesses, we had legislators, we had congressmen, and all this. But they came up with the KKK. They put fear. So everything went back to the way it was during slavery time. Then President Johnson came. He came up with the Voting Rights Act. But at the same time, they came up with a system they call benign neglect. Whatever they come up with, we'll just neglect and just look over what they're saying. Now what they're using is weapons of mass distraction. At one time, we had a set-aside program for minorities. Now that is against the law. Then they want to come up with affirmative actions, like you said. It benefits the woman, the white woman mostly. But this was another way of their refinement of the system of white supremacy racism, which we call, or you call, whatever you call it. Anyway, to tell the truth, it is a system that is racist. And to the extent that the racist has anything to do with it, they'll keep throwing these weapons of mass distractions at us and keep us doing this moonwalk. And you know what the moonwalk is? It's going backwards. And I won't be long, but like we say, what we can do is be fearless. We can't go back to this KKK stuff where we're scared to open our mouth about different issues. That's why I applaud you guys. I don't care who might call in. If it's the truth and it's fact, let's have it. Now that's what's gonna wake us up. The truth, that's where it goes back to the critical race theory. Where is it in time where someone wouldn't want you to know the truth? And all problems are solved with questions and answers. Now, we ask the right questions and we get the right answers, this system of white supremacy racism or this inhumane system would be squashed overnight. But like I say, if they keep us moonwalking and keep us under this weapons of mass distraction, keep us not wanting to get reparations and everything else, they have their victory. But our victory is when we keep on keeping on. Again, peace and love to all.
I think that it is important for us to acknowledge what Solar Beam said in terms of Black men got the right to vote before white women did. That is true. However, after there was a constitutional declaration to say that Black men had to were granted the right to vote, we also then faced literacy tests. We also faced poll taxes. Like there were all of these measures put in place to deny you the very right that they say that you have. Once white women were granted the right to vote, there weren't any of those restrictions put in place to deny that vote. Once they granted it to the white person, they had it free and clear. And so we have to, as Black people, and this goes back to the caller on Tuesday. They were like, well, Toney, I like it when you talk. And I made a statement to you about that later. I was like, why do they like it when you talk? Because you don't come across as bold and brazen and brass as I do to white people, right? And so, yes, we want to hear, we want Black people to have a space where they can talk, but you can only talk in a way that makes us comfortable. You can only talk with the restrictions that we place on you. And so Black people are constantly being given things and we say, oh, we love it, right? Like they gave us Juneteenth. But this is the language they would use. We gave y'all Obama. We gave y'all Juneteenth, right? But the restrictions on Juneteenth is not everybody has to recognize it, and you don't have to get paid for it as a federal holiday. And so Black people, when you talk, you ask the question, how do we wake up? We got to pay attention to the nuances. Just because they gave us a holiday doesn't mean that it has affected the system, doesn't mean that the institution is going to act any differently, doesn't mean that there's a change in policies or procedures. It just means it looks good and it sounds good. So in the song that I played a couple of weeks ago, Catch 22, he said that. He said they changed the face of the projects so that you look at them and you look good. They look good. So now you feel good, but nothing has changed on the inside of them. So now how has our condition changed? And it hasn't. And so if we're going to wake up as Black people in particular, we got to stop. And Solar Beam says this too. We got to stop falling for the okie doke. And we think just because they give us something, oh my goodness, look at what they got. I'm so excited, when really our condition remains the same.
Yeah, and so
I think part of that wake up is that, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, is that you have to get white people, especially poor white people, to wake up and realize that, you're voting against your best interest, that because of certain words, and like I said, woke, critical race theory, affirmative action, those are code words to me for the new N word.
Yeah, and it's interesting because woke, in the way that they're using it in Florida in particular, it's an acronym, which means wrongs against our kids and employees. So WOKE, wrongs. To our kids, KID, the K, and employees, the E, right? Wrongs. And so our wrongs against our kids and employees, WOKE. And so it's interesting to me to highlight in this case the hypocrisy that you mentioned earlier, because you're saying to us that we are doing a wrong against our kids and our employees because we dare to tell them the truth without acknowledging the wrong that you are doing by not telling them the truth, right? So it's a play on, and that's what politicians do all the time. They play with us. They play on words, they play with our feelings, they play with our emotions, they play with their rhetoric. And if we are not thinking, I think one of the ways that we can wake up as Black folks is to stop and think. And to think more deeply and critically about things. And that's what I don't think that we do.
Right. And what happens is when you think about affirmative action, and you think about, there were three ways back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, there were three ways where most Black people moved to move to what they may call middle class status, where they may have better income, better job, better to be able to better educate their children. It's either through the military, it was either through state or federal government jobs, or it was through
Industrial.
yes,
factories.
Yeah.
So what did they do? They got rid of the factories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then a lot of people don't know that in the 80s, there was this big overhaul of the military. And they were pushing a lot of, that's when the military decided that we're going to be this tech, this tech, we moving into the future. And so they started to get, push more blacks out because they felt like more whites will be more tech savvy until they hit these new, into Kuwait and all that. Then it's like, hey, we need some people down the front line. So y'all come on back. Y'all come on back because we need to kill some people. We need some people back. And also, when you look at it, when I go into these companies, when I go into these facilities, and there are diversity as a union, this is what management would do. Management basically are white owned. In fact, I don't know if I even have a facility or, there's a couple that are black owned, but the majority of them are white owned. So what they will do, they will go to the white employees secretly and tell them, hey, you know what? If you vote for this contract or you in the union, it's going to be bad for you. That eventually they're going to overrun the place, and you're not. So it's not in your best interest to be a part of the union. And so now you go in and you're telling them, listen, together we can create something. Together we can do something. And that's how they came up with the right to work. So it was basically about calling, if you in the union, you have to call your brother, you have to call a black person, brother or sister. We said, no, we don't want that. But you're fighting against your best interest, because the one thing that unions do is that you get a seat at the table. You get to sit down with management and demand some things.
But I don't want to do that beside somebody that's black.
And so even now, and we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, I represent all the workers in a facility. And when I pull them together, I'm talking to them, letting them know, hey, this is what we have to do together. But what happens is, because somebody has gotten into the white worker ear to make them feel like, oh, it's only going to benefit them. It's only going to benefit them. They're the ones that are going to benefit, or they're the ones that are going to get this. And they're only fighting for them. And I'm in the middle, like, what you mean I'm only fighting? I'm fighting for all of you. And so they don't want to participate in the union. They don't get engaged. But what's so crazy about it? The minute they get in trouble, now they want to call you. Now
they don't want to pay their fees.
They
don't want to call you brother or sister. They don't want to be in the room with you. They don't want to feel like you are benefiting from this, but yet they want to benefit from it no matter what.
And it goes back to what we've been talking about with these systems, and whether it's white, poor, white, black, the powers that run the system, that the legislators who govern this system, they sell you.
They sell you on your whiteness.
Go ahead, Carla.
They can't hear you. Now say it.
Go ahead, Carla.
I think you have to say it before you answer.
Carla, listen, when y'all call in, just start talking. Just start talking. Even though you can't hear us, we can hear you. So just start talking. Caller?
Toney, Denise, I know I can't hear you on the feedback. This is Bob. I want to make a statement about unions. In my previous life, as far as my occupation, I worked at a factory in Central Arkansas, for 4.5 years. And during the 4.5 years I worked there, 3 people were killed on the job, which hastened my departure to go to another line of work, which I'm in now. But I wanted to say, it was routine for this factory to get fined by OSHA or EPA or whatnot and so forth, but it was also routine for them to simply pay the fine, not disrupt production, and go on down the road and so forth. So that's what we're looking at. Unfortunately, a lot of the workforce out there, the South has been so de-unionized, they don't even know what it's like to have a union because they haven't been around their lifetime and so forth. But, you know, unfortunately, if there's not a third party, meaning a voice for the worker, the worker's probably going to get screwed. But I will hang up and listen. Y'all keep it up. Bye.
And that's the truth. And the majority, especially in, you look at where in the South where unions are prevalent, you know, in service industry, healthcare industry,
Government.
not too much.
I thought the
Well, federal government, federal government.
but a lot of people that you serve, aren't they? Don't they have government jobs?
Yeah, but they don't have they don't have contracts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they don't have contracts, and so nobody sits down to. You can't demand anything because there's no contract. But here's the thing: is that as Black and poor white workers or low to moderate income workers who are in the service industry, this is where this country has really flipped. It's in the service industry. When you talk about jobs being lost, when you talk about the biggest need for workers, it's in the service industry, whether it's restaurants, whether it's healthcare, whether it's nursing homes, hospitals, the service industry. And most of those jobs are being filled, or most of those jobs are filled by Black and poor white. And they don't want it. That's why they're fighting so hard against unions. That's why Amazon, that's how Starbucks started getting unionized, because these workers like, hold up. They woke up and they realized, you know what? If the only thing that is stopping us or stopping me from gaining something is the fact that I think I'm better than you because the color of my skin, and this country is telling me that my whiteness means something, but I look at my bank account, I look at where I live at, I look at my health care, and it doesn't benefit me just because I'm white. Even though they tell me I don't see the benefit. So I need to wake up and say, hey, I'm with you and let's move together. And I think that's something that needs to happen. Caller, just start talking. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Denise. Hey, it's Uwe again. Hey, I was going to say to both of y'all that I remember, man, working in the service industry. I still work in the service industry, but I work for myself mostly. But yeah, man, it's like you said, Black and poor whites get put up into the service industry, making money for these billionaires. Prices so darn high nowadays. So utility companies are raising your rate on your bills. I see the bills. You got to pay them. They got to be paid. But I done did everything besides robbing the bank. I'm not going to do that because that ain't the right thing to do, because I can't do nothing for my household from sitting up in prison. But yeah, we get the wrong turn of this system, it seems like, especially being here in Arkansas in the good old West State. And yeah, it's quite, with, like I say, everything going up stuff nowadays, domestic violence going up and everything. It's just real crazy. Hey, thank y'all for listening to me. But hey, Tony, I want to say, you and Denise, both of y'all are organizers, and y'all talk to people. Y'all go out and try to encourage people to let people know the truth of what's going on in the matter. That everything that the governor is talking about ain't for us. They seem like they're trying to revert back to the days of slavery in Arkansas. I ain't trying to see no civil war. We already got one going on as it is. And I don't want to be at war with myself, but it's crazy. It's real crazy. Hey, I'm gonna keep on listening, y'all. Hey, and man, tell the FCC to get this station right like it used to be, cause I tell them, y'all ain't gotta tell them, I'm putting it in y'all too much. I like hearing y'all. Hey, I love you guys. Hey, keep on making it do it. What you said. For sure. Already now.
Toney, I just want to say this. When you said that people in the people like Starbucks and people like Amazon, they're realizing that it's important for them to say, no, I'm just like you. I want to be careful here because I'm not sure that's what they're doing. I'm not sure that white people are saying, I realize that I am in the same conditions as Black folks. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think that they are just looking at themselves and assessing their own lives and determining that they want something better, they want something more, and they're willing to fight for it. And they do understand that that fight will include Black folks. But I think that that's when we get in trouble because Black folks, we then think that now they see us, then they think of us as friends. We're friends now because we're going to work together to form this union. And I don't think that that's the case. And so a lot of times I wonder, I don't know if this is true or not, I wonder then if they do form those unions, who becomes the leaders of those unions? Do we sit back as Black folks and then say, well, we vote the white people in as leaders, we vote the white people in as our spokespersons, we vote the white people in as the ones who are going to sit at that table and negotiate on our behalf? I just wonder about that. And so I just wanted to say that even if we see this coming together, this meeting of the minds as Black folks, we still have to remain vigilant and make sure that our voices are centered in that space as much as any other voice, that we are taking on leadership capacity, that we are the ones that show up to do the negotiations and not depending on them to do it, because I'm not sure that just because they're working with us, that means that they have our best interest in mind.
That may be true. That may be true. I think the biggest thing is, and if there's no alliance, if there's no allies, if there's no, as long as we stay divided, and that's what the system wants. It wants to keep you divided, not only as a Black person, but as other races, poor whites, and just using that as an example. I want to keep you divided, and I don't want you to come together as an alliance. I don't want you to come together as an ally, because once you come together and you start having conversations and you start seeing, then it's easier for this alliance to say, we're going to, hey, we can have your voice. You can be a leader at the table. You can negotiate the table, because now there's no such thing. Now that race card doesn't.
Yes, but there's a difference between diversity and inclusion. Diversity means I walk into a room and I see that there are people who are of different races. I see that there are people who have different abilities. I see that there are people who have different, sometimes you can tell, sometimes you can't, but I can see that. So that's representation. It's a diverse representation. But inclusion says who's being listened to, who's being heard, who's making contributions that they receive and that actually make a difference. Those are two different things. And so that's what I'm warning us against. I'm warning us against saying, well, now we have this union where all of us are a part of it. So you've got diversity. Yes, but are they listening to you as a Black person in that room?
Yeah, and the way I see it, if you are in that room, and now, it all depends on who are you asking is listening to you. Is management listening to you? Or are the other union members listening to you? You know,
But I think that there are several of us as Black people who can say that we are leading. We were talking about this with the guy who's over the Black. Oh my goodness, what's his name? Who's over the Black?
Martin Luther King Commission.
Yes, you see, you're the leader, and who's listening to you, right? So I don't think that just because you're in the room means that you have an audience, and that's why we talk about the difference between diversity and inclusion. You can be in the room and still not have the power to make a difference.
But I think that goes back to something else we were talking about, and we talked about it earlier on the show. Is that there are a lot of Black people in spaces that they have this power, but they're not saying anything because they're afraid that.
And some of them are saying something, but they're not being heard. They're not being listened to, because diversity right now, we're concerned about diversity. I just want to look like I got Black people in the room. I just want to look like I'm paying attention to other folks. And that's not the case. You just checking off a box that says we got a Black person. Right. I got a token in the room, and that's all I'm concerned about. So inclusion is this. So that's all I'm asking the union people to think about, to consider. Yes, now you're in the room. Now what?
Caller, you got about 1 minute.
Dollar General has over 500 stores. Dollar General needs a union. Doesn't matter what color, everybody needs to be treated right. And my question to put to you on the spot, do you guys ever listen back to your radio show after you're done broadcasting and take a real good hard listen? Thank you very much for your time.
Take a real hard listen to what?
I don't know. He didn't. He just asked to listen to the show.
I'm sorry, caller. We got about 30 seconds to get out of here. So just want to thank all of you for tuning in today. Be sure to tune in Monday from 4 to 5 for Down with That with me and Neil. I will not be on Community Voices next Tuesday.
Really?
Is that next Tuesday, the 28th? I won't be here. I will be out doing my work at one of the Pulaski County offices, but I will be back next Thursday. I may not be back next Thursday.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm right now. I'm scheduled to be out of town, but I may not be. But I will let you. Somehow, some way, you'll find out.
We could pre-record if you need to.
Yeah. That's one way to do it. Yeah, I could do that way. But anyway, we got to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later. Bye.